Bloomington, Illinois. August 2025. A T-Mobile store manager catches his newest employee stealing $20,000 in phones from the safe, but when detectives sit her down to interview her, she confesses everything in a single sentence, then admits she sold the phones for $5 each. Bloomington, Illinois. August 2025. A T-Mobile store manager named Dave is about to brief two detectives on the slowest, most expensive workplace theft any of them have seen in a long time. 19 phones, one Apple Watch, $20,000, all from a single safe. The suspect is a part-time employee. She started in early June. By August 9th, she was already taking phones 2 and 3 at a time. Always when she was alone in the back, always from the same safe she had legitimate access to. Here is what makes this case worth your 23 minutes. The detective is going to walk in, sit her down, ask her one question, and she is going to hand him the entire confession in a single sentence. No interrogation, no pressure, just 2 words. Yeah, it's me. And here is the legal twist the prosecutor is about to dance with. The suspect tells the detective she sold 2 of the phones for, quote, $5 each, $5, for an iPhone worth $1,000. That is not the act of someone running an organized criminal enterprise. That is the act of someone in crisis. Hit subscribe if you want to understand the difference between simple theft and aggravated employee theft, because under Illinois law, an employee with authorized access to inventory who steals from that inventory faces enhanced charges based on what the courts call a position of trust. Back to the encounter. Watch what happens when Detective Isaac asks her, quote, "Do you kind of understand why we'd be here?" Now the law. By the time the suspect tells Detective Isaac, quote, "Yeah, it's me," this case has shifted from a corporate inventory loss into a criminal case the state's attorney can file today. Charge 1. Theft. Under Illinois 720 ILCS 5/16-1, theft of property valued between $10,000 and $100,000 is a Class 2 felony. 20 devices at approximately $1,000 each puts the loss at $20,000. That is 2 times over the felony threshold. Sentencing exposure: 3 to 7 years in state prison, with mandatory supervised release on the back end. Charge 2, the aggravating factor. The suspect was not a customer. She was not a shoplifter. She was an employee with authorized access to the safe, a position of trust. Illinois courts treat theft by an employee differently from theft by a stranger. The breach of fiduciary duty enhances both the charge in plea negotiations and the sentence at the end. Prosecutors will frame this as exploiting access she was given to do her job, and the prosecutor has the evidence pre-built. Surveillance video, inventory counts, the two-code safe system that recorded every entry, 20 separate transaction logs. Even if the suspect had said nothing, the case files itself. Now the Miranda question. The detective takes her into custody at the workplace, handcuffs her, walks her to the squad car, drives her to the police department, and then begins the interview. At what point did Miranda need to be read? Under Miranda v. Arizona, 384 U.S. 436, the warnings must be delivered before any custodial interrogation. Custody attached the moment the cuffs went on. Interrogation began the moment Detective Isaac asked, quote, "Why do you think we're in this situation?" If Miranda was read between those two moments, which is standard procedure, and almost certainly happened off-camera in the patrol car, the confession is fully admissible. If it was not, every word she said at the police department is suppressible. The body camera footage at the PD will be the controlling evidence on that question. And here is the secondary Miranda question: was the waiver voluntary? The suspect is 21, working part-time, in nursing school at Chamberlain University, paying her own loans, exhausted, scared. Under Colorado v. Connelly, 479 U.S. 157, a Miranda waiver is voluntary unless there is state coercion. Internal emotional distress, stress from student loans, fear, exhaustion does not invalidate the waiver under the federal standard. The detective here was extraordinarily gentle. Quote, "That's something I can understand." Quote, "People make mistakes." Quote, "Hopefully this will be the last time." That is empathy. That is not coercion. Under Connelly, the confession holds. Now the most legally interesting fact in this entire case. The suspect sold two phones for, quote, $5 each. $5 for a $1,000 phone. That is not the math of a profit-motivated criminal. That is the math of someone giving phones away to friends and family who paid $5 as a token gesture, not as fair market value. The prosecutor still gets the full theft charge. The loss to T-Mobile is calculated on the value of the stolen inventory, not on what the defendant received. But the $5 detail is gold for the defense at sentencing. It establishes that this was not organized retail crime. It was a young person making catastrophic decisions in slow motion over 6 weeks. And the cooperation itself is mitigation. The suspect did not lie. She did not invoke her right to counsel. She offered to identify every person she gave a phone to. She offered to help recover the merchandise. Under Illinois sentencing guidelines, cooperation with law enforcement acceptance of responsibility is a documented mitigation factor. The judge will see this body camera footage at sentencing, the detective will testify to it, and the prosecutor, if reasonable, will fold cooperation into the plea offer. One small note on the arrest itself. Watch the handcuffing. The detective adjusts the cuffs for her small wrist, locks them so they do not tighten, asks if it is too tight. Under Graham v. Connor, 490 U.S. 386, use of force is judged by objective reasonableness, based on facts known to the officer at the moment. A cooperative suspect, no resistance, documented cuff adjustment. This is the textbook of objective reasonableness. Officer grade: A. Clean approach, patient interview, cuff adjustment on camera, empathic tone without compromising the evidentiary value of the statements. The state's attorney will love this body cam at trial. The judge will note it at sentencing. Suspect grade: D+. She did everything wrong from a criminal defense perspective. She admitted within 90 seconds. She never invoked. She volunteered the names of the recipients. She volunteered the $5 sale price. She volunteered her motive student loans. She avoids an F purely because she did not lie. And in this case, that single decision might shave a year off her sentence at the back end. And here is the part most viewers will miss. The detective is about to ask her one of the most legally important questions a suspect can be asked. Quote, "Did anyone tell you to take the phones?" Watch her answer. Lesson 1 for anyone with workplace access to valuable inventory. The same access that lets you do your job is the access prosecutors will frame as a position of trust. Theft from that inventory is treated more seriously, charged more aggressively, and sentenced more harshly than theft by a stranger. Lesson 2. Miranda rights are not optional and not advisory. They are tools. The right to remain silent is not exercised by sitting quietly. It is exercised by saying, out loud, on camera, I am invoking my right to remain silent, and I want an attorney. Anything softer is treated by the courts as a continued waiver. Lesson 3 for officers. This is a masterclass in empathic interrogation. Detective Isaac did not raise his voice. He did not pressure. He acknowledged the human reasons behind the conduct without endorsing them. He let the suspect own the admission. The state's attorney gets a clean confession. The defense attorney gets nothing to suppress. Lesson 4 for anyone struggling with student loans, financial pressure, or workplace temptation. There is no path back from a felony theft conviction. Nursing schools deny admission. Hospitals deny employment. Background checks follow for decades. The $500 in cumulative gain from selling phones for $5 each does not pay for one semester of Chamberlain, let alone the lost career. Lesson 5 for families. This is the conversation to have at the dinner table tonight. If your young adult is overwhelmed, in debt, or making decisions that do not match the person they used to be, the right intervention is now, not after the cuffs go on. Talk to them before the detective does. If you or someone you love is struggling with financial pressure, student debt, or workplace temptation to do something illegal, the SAMHSA National Helpline is 1-800-662-4357, free, 24/7, confidential. The Illinois State Public Defender Commission provides no-cost counsel for any defendant facing potential imprisonment. One question for the comments section. Do you think the cooperation here earns this suspect a plea deal to a lesser charge, or does the Class 2 felony stick at sentencing? Drop your verdict. Hit subscribe if this earned its 23 minutes, and we will see you on the next docket. On the beat, in the know.